The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Colorado.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, one of the best practices that I think we've learned over the last 10 years is the importance of having alternative authorizing agencies. And in fact, 32 states have created alternative authorizing agencies, including my home state of Colorado, which has a charter school institute. In other states, it takes the form of vesting mayors, University Board of Regents, or state boards of education as alternative authorizers. Doing so ensures that bold ideas for charter schools brought forth by parents and grassroots community members are more likely to get a fair shot at being considered if there is an alternative authorizer, instead of what's already in the bill, which is also should be present, which is an appeals process. An appeals process automatically sets up a kind of adversarial relationship, and we have that as well in Colorado. When I served on the State Board of Education, we heard appeals processes. So if a district turned a charter school, it was appealed to the State Board. We could then overrule that district and force them to grant it, but it set up a very adversarial relationship. What has proven to work better in the 32 states that have it is having an alternative authorizer in addition to an appeals process, so that districts that simply don't want to be in the charter authorizing business, or that refuse to grant any charter schools or don't have an application process for them, can simply allow another entity to provide the quality oversight that's needed for a charter school in a district. One of the great evolutions of the last 10 years has been the responsibility of charter school authorizers. It's not simply a charter school that needs to reform. It's the authorizer, the public entity, that needs to hold that charter school responsible for the performance of its students. In my state of Colorado, our Charter School Institute approved 22 charter schools serving 10,000 students in the 6 years that we've had it. That's 22 out of the about 120 charter schools that exist in the state. The State University of New York, the University of Indiana, and Michigan have also approved some of those states' most successful charter schools. Local school boards look at things in a different way sometimes. They appropriately consider their district's own financial situation when voting on charter schools. But that focus sometimes interferes with their consideration of the greater good and local control, quality, viable public school choices for parents and students that address the diverse learning needs of their district. Unreasonable denials by school districts can be appealed in states, and that's already one of the provisions of this. But from my own experience on the State Board of Education, I know that the appeals process is really less desirable for a number of reasons. First of all, it's only reactive and only addresses the merits of whether a particular school board denial was valid or not. It's not proactive in terms of developing innovative learning models and supporting the quality, development, and authorizing practices of charter schools. Two, appeals can address school district delays in approving charter schools. There's also a way of kind of killing by delaying under paperwork, unreasonable request after unreasonable request from the school district to the founders of the charter school that ultimately lead to abandonment of the idea. Appeals are often limited in scope and criteria. And appeals are also a drain on state resources, State Board of Education members' time, Department of Education staff time, State Attorney General's time. So while they have their role, it's really should be a last resort and shouldn't be prioritized as a best practice. That's why I'm proposing to add a priority for multiple charter authorizers. Again, states will be able to determine the best form that should take. I should also point out this is very important for rural areas and small districts. It is very, very difficult, if not impossible, for a small district or rural school district to be a quality authorizer. In many cases, they recognize that and would rather not be. In fact, in Colorado, most of the districts that have welcomed the state authorizer and said for the local applicants to apply to them instead of their district are districts that know that they can't engage in a meaningful approval or oversight process. By having a statewide entity, you allow some scale to the very important business of being an authorizer, a scale that small and rural districts lack. And really, we can empower community members in those districts with the power of school choice and charters by ensuring that there is a multiple authorizer. This amendment is supported by the National Alliance for Public Charter Schools, as well as a very important and newer entity at the national level, the National Association for Charter School Authorizers, which is actually composed of districts and state authorizing agencies, both of whom have endorsed this amendment. Again, it simply establishes this as a priority for funding ensuring that this best practice that we've come to learn over the last decade can better be reflected, and that hopefully states that haven't yet had the chance to look at a way to create an alternative authorizing agency will be able to learn from the states that have under this and to ensure that charter schools get a fair hearing, prevent the adversarial outcomes that too frequently come from the appeals process, and to ensure that choice is given meaning in rural school districts and small school districts. I urge support of my amendment, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman,